Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this video and thank you for watching. So here we have a Sigma lens, one lens that I haven't really talked about in my channel because I don't see the need to talk about it, but a few people have requested that I do a video about it and I thought I'd just give you my thoughts about it. So the Sigma DC EX HSM 17 to 50mm 2.8 lens with optical stabilizer, has autofocus and manual switches, and it is a 77mm filter thread for filters, and it's extremely sharp in the centre. It's not too sharp in the corners, especially using the 2.8 aperture during evening shoots or dawn shoots when the light is quite poor. However, it is a fairly decent lens, so let's talk about it a little bit more. So, on this optical stabilized lens, we have the OS switch on and off. It is stabilized to 2 to 3 stops. You've got the autofocus switch and the manual. You have a lock switch, and if you look at the front element, which looks really nice, as you can probably see in the video, hopefully that is very clear, but it's a 77mm filter thread that you can attach polarizers and ND filters to, but you will find them quite expensive at 77mm. And I just wanted to talk about the lens because I think it's the most underrated Sigma lens out there. You get a nice filter, lens hood there, and it is incredibly useful in low light situations, especially on crop sensor cameras. So this lens can be used on full frame cameras, believe it or not. It has a metal mount, which means it is high quality, and obviously it will be quite durable because it is a metal mount. The only thing when you use this on a full frame camera, such as a 5D Mark III or 4 or the 1DX, is you'll see heavy vignetting ring around the image. So the only thing you can do in those circumstances is crop your image in a little bit to get rid of that, and you should still be able to use this with no issues. There's very few crop sensor lenses that will work on full frame. So let's just take a look at this lens. Obviously we have the optical stabilizer there, which gives you about 2 to 3 stops. In general, my opinion of optical stabilizer on Sigma lenses is they're nowhere as good as the Canon or Tamron ones. Obviously you've got autofocus and manual focus switch there, a lock switch because it does zoom out a little bit, not great, but you can lock it at the short end. You can lock it, I think, like so, so it won't open, it won't lens creep. But then again, even if we take it off, it's not going to lens creep anyway because it's such a small focal range, isn't it? Obviously this is designed for crop sensor cameras, but you can use it on full frame cameras such as a 5D Mark II, 3 and 4 and 1DX. The only thing is you'll get a black vignetting ring around your image, and you'll have to crop your image to get rid of that. The main reason these crop sensor cameras are not supposed to fit on full frame cameras is, generally speaking, on the Canon lenses you'll have a raised black hub that goes round that prevents you from mounting it. I'll just show you here. We've got the 10 to 18, I think that works out at 17 to 28mm, and if we take that off and you have a look, hopefully you can see that in the video, but there's a bit of a raised bit of plastic that goes around like that. That actually stops you mounting that on an EF camera mount, such as the ones that are on the actual 5D and 1DXs. But with the Sigma lenses, they don't put that on. So what that means is you are able to mount this on a full frame camera. As I said, there will be a heavy vignetting ring around that you will need to crop. But in terms of image quality, it is really sharp in the centre. At 2.8, it isn't too sharp in the corners, and you do get a bit of chromatic aberration in there at 2.8, so you will have to use correction on your camera or in Photoshop to get rid of that. But I think for £250 on eBay, the price varies. Obviously, if you go to a shop, they'll charge you maybe 350 quid for it. So can you use this lens for video? Yes, you can. The only thing is it makes a clicking noise when you're actually letting it doing dual autofocus, such as the Canon 80D and 90D cameras can do. But the clicking noise isn't that audible, and you don't really notice it that much. And in terms of other lenses that you might have wanted to go for, such as the Canon 24-70 f4 L lens, that lens is actually slightly louder than this. So you might find this more useful for doing video work. If you're after complete silence, you can't go wrong with the EFS lenses here. This is the 10-18. The one I'm recording with now is the 18-55 with its STM motor, which means it's very silent. You can't hear the lens focusing. But then again, these are electronic focusing, while this is a mechanical focusing. So if you've got no power, you can still focus with this. You don't need to have your camera on using power, and that's another thing that people don't really talk about. Such as the EVF cameras and the mirrorless cameras, they use power to actually see what the camera sees. But in terms of SLRs, they use a mirror, which means you don't need any power to actually see through the lens and see your image in front of you. So you can actually save a lot of power by using SLRs versus mirrorless cameras. I just thought I'd make that clear because not many people know that. Anyway, I thought I'd just talk about this lens because if you're someone who's starting out, you haven't got a lot of money and you want something with optical stabilizer, obviously autofocus and manual switch, a nice zoom ring, and a manual focusing ring like that, and there ain't much throw there. If you see that, there's very little distance, so for doing minute focusing it's really easy and quick. But I just thought I'd give you my thoughts about this lens. It's certainly a lens I would recommend, perfect for doing weddings, and I hope you enjoyed this review or final thoughts on this lens, and I hope to see you in the next video.